We spent 5 years building a life in the UK and then found out none of it counted. Our 5-year visa clock reset to 0. That moment changed everything for us. It's my first video, and honestly, I've been wondering where to even start. After a bit of thinking, I realised the best place to begin is with why. Why am I putting myself and my family out here online? The Short family is going through a pretty big change. It's not the sort of thing that you can explain once and be done with it. And I keep thinking about our boys, Mason and Brian, 8 and 10. I've just turned 40, and when I think back to being their age, I remember some things clearly, but heaps of the details have faded. And now they're about to go through the biggest change of their lives so far. So I want to make sure they can look back one day and understand what happened, including all the details they might forget. So this first video is for you, Mason, and for you, Brian. So you know why we're leaving the home, the mates, the school, and the community you've grown up in. All right, let's get into it. We moved to the UK in January 2021, right in the middle of COVID, straight from an Aussie summer into a freezing UK winter lockdown. No furniture, no mates, no community, no idea how anything worked. But we built a life here. The boys settled into school, we made great mates, and the house we started in slowly became a real home. My wife and I came on a skilled worker visa. That's the kind that's meant to put you on a 5-year pathway to settlement, or ILR. Live and work here for 5 years straight, meet all the conditions, and you can stay here permanently. Or so we thought.
So having watched this video, you wonder how many more people must be going through the same thing in the United Kingdom currently. So you've got thousands and thousands of people that have been affected by these sweeping changes. And the purpose of this video is to go through it in case you missed these sweeping changes, or for those of you who might just need a little bit of clarity. This video will go through the exact proposals that the Home Secretary, Honorable Shabana Mahmood, proposed in the white papers. These are the biggest immigration reforms that this country has seen in over 50 years. So you can see the anguish in that man, and just imagine how many more families must be going through the same situation. This must be very devastating because the man came in 2021 and he was nearing the end of the 5-year period, hoping to apply for the indefinite leave to remain, and suddenly he's been told that that time the 5-year period has been reset to 0. So that means he needs now to wait for another 5 years before he can even consider making the application, hence saying, well, in that case, I'm not going to wait for the 5 years. I will have to leave the United Kingdom. And you can see the frustration, and it's really devastating for him. So the UK government has announced the biggest shake-up to settlement rules in decades, moving from a 5-year rule to a stricter contribution-based 10-year pathways. So a lot of people might be asking why the change now? Why are we having these sweeping immigration changes after all these years? Because these are the biggest immigration changes that this country has seen in over 50 years. So the Home Secretary says the pace of migration has become destabilizing. Since 2021, 2.6 million more people arrived in the United Kingdom than left, and 400,000 asylum claims were lodged. So under the old system, 1.6 million people were projected to qualify for settlement between 2026 and 2030, far higher than previous years. So the government argues that settlement must be earned and it must not be automatic. So you can see that this is not just an isolated case of the man that we've just watched in the video. We've got 1.6 million people that will be affected and that will go through the same situation and the same circumstances as this man. So you can imagine the devastation that all these people will be facing and how that is crushing to them. So what are the core changes that we are going to see in this new policy? So the biggest one is on the indefinite leave to remain, which is also commonly known as the ILR. So the indefinite leave to remain As it stands, it's been granted at 5 years. So that means if you've lived in the United Kingdom for 5 years, you automatically get the indefinite leave to remain. But now, under this new policy, that has been doubled. So that means for you to obtain the indefinite leave to remain, you have to wait for at least 10 years before you're granted indefinite leave to remain. So the first condition is to have a clean criminal record. So this is standard. This has not changed at all in all the other applications within the Home Office. You are expected to have a clean criminal record. Now, we've seen in a lot of other cases where people commit crime, whatever it is, and still expect to make an application, and that only works against you. The second one is to have English at A level, but don't worry about that. You don't really need to have an A level certificate, and I will explain why that is later in the video. And the third one is you need to have national insurance contributions. That means you need to be in formal employment and not have worked illegally in the United Kingdom. And now the fourth condition is you must not have any debt in the United Kingdom. So you can imagine this is a very challenging situation, not just for the immigrants, for everyone else. I think the economy is really biting at the minute, and this is going to be one of the most challenging situations for a lot of people. So the term A-level refers to the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. Now, a lot of people might have come across this term. It's often shortened to CEFR. This is the international scale used to measure the language ability. It ranges from A1 and A2 at beginner level, B1 at intermediate level, B2 at upper intermediate level, and C1 and C2 at advanced and near native levels. So currently, the indefinite leave to remain requires only B1. And the test covers speaking and listening only. So there's no reading and writing component at B1. So the A-level standard the government refers to is B2. So this one includes all the 4 skills, and you'll be expected to speak, listen, read, and write. So in plain terms, the English requirement is being raised from a basic 2-skill test to a full 4-skill assessment at a higher academic level. But although the new standard pathway is 10 years, some groups will qualify faster. So people with English at degree level may qualify in 9 years, and those people with higher rate taxpayers may qualify just after 5 years, and the top rate taxpayers and global talent visa holders only after 3 years. And then also when you look at the public service workers such as doctors, nurses, teachers, these would also qualify after 5 years. The volunteers may qualify between 5 and 7 years depending on the outcome of the consultation. So each and every person is different. It depends on your group and how you came into this country. So we've seen that some groups will continue under the existing 5-year rules with no changes at all. This includes partners of British citizens, the British nationals overseas from Hong Kong, people covered by the Windrush scheme, and those protected under the EU settlement scheme. So these groups keep their current pathway, and there are no changes to this particular group. So while it's true that some people will qualify sooner than others will have to wait significantly longer. So people who have received benefits for under 12 months may not qualify until after 15 years. So you can imagine this is quite a deterrent for those people. And for those people who've received benefits for more than 12 months may have to wait at least 20 years. So, and then also anyone who's arrived illegally may face up to 30 years before they can even settle down. And if this is not a deterrent, then I don't know what is. So refugees on core protection will generally qualify after 20 years unless they switch into work or study routes that shorten their timeline. But even then, it's not an easy thing. It's not as if you can switch. I think this is where it becomes very complicated, because each and every person is dealt with at an individual basis. So it doesn't matter how you came in. You may have come in the same country with another person, a colleague or whoever it is at the same time. But if your circumstances are different from that person, or if they've had any crime, or if you've had any issues or debt in the United Kingdom, if you'll find that your consideration into being granted legal status will differ from another person. So the government intends these changes to apply to anyone in the United Kingdom who has not yet received indefinite leave to remain. even if they're already partway through their 5-year road. So however, people who already hold the indefinite leave to remain will not be affected. So if you've got your indefinite leave to remain, you've got nothing to worry about. Their rights remain fully protected. So I hope this video has managed to provide some clarity, and you can also click on the link in the description that will take you direct to the .gov.uk website and see for yourself the proposals that have been made by the Home Secretary. So until then, we'll see you in the next video. Ciao.